All right, the Raw review 12/9/2013. Aubrey Sitterson here.
Ow!
Oh,
Yeah.
man. So that Raw ending, I mean, the whole show, I mean, you got to talk about
It was a
but that
great
ending.
show, man. It was a great show, and it was a great go-home show, too.
It was. Honestly, I thought the crowd was going to wreck that ending. And
No, yeah, they worked with it, man. The only thing that I wasn't like the only thing that really bugged me, it's probably just because I was overthinking it too much, is was when they were derailing Triple H, which was awesome, right? And
Yeah.
everybody like up and down the line, their reaction to that was great because Daniel Bryan was kind of embarrassed, and like Mark Henry was into it, but like was ready for it to be over. Shawn Michaels was kind of uncomfortable about it.
Punk
Triple
looks
H
like
was
he's
clearly not happy. Clearly not happy. But like the way he tried to deal with it was to make like it was like a very Vince McMahon thing, right? It was like a very Mr. McMahon,
very
if you're an idiot, keep saying what, or like whatever kind of thing. And he made the joke about them all looking like Daniel Bryan. But like I don't think Daniel Bryan fans think that guy's so horrifically ugly. So like the insult doesn't even work.
Yeah.
Right? Is that me? That's me overthinking Triple H insults, right?
No, I honestly, the way that went down tonight, like I thought the guys did a very good job of thinking on their feet and reacting to the crowd. And
it's a year's worth of storylines that they just kind of like threw fuel on and started up. Ah, man, CM Punk. How long have we wanted CM Punk Triple H? Since since Summer of Punk, we've wanted that. Since he called him McMahon's doofus son-in-law, we've wanted that. That would be huge.
Wait, didn't they face each other in Night of Champions though?
No, wait, but it was disappointing.
Well, it really
wasn't what everybody wanted. It was like, wait, did they face each other in Night of Champions, or was that where they had the tag team match?
No, I'm pretty sure they faced each other.
Did they have a tag team match together too?
Oh yeah, that was at Vengeance, CM Punk and Triple H versus The Miz and R-Truth.
Yeah, and then then it spun off into the Kevin Nash
thing.
Yeah, we never really got like a really satisfying feud out of those two guys.
Yeah, because it was after Punk's rise. Like the feud was before Punk's rise, I should say. So Punk's reaction tonight too, it looked like he was about ready to burst open. Like, I've told you guys about Daniel Bryan, is like what his face looked like to me.
Yeah, no, he clearly loved it. He was clearly totally into it. I know. I was. It was great. It was really good stuff. Even including and like the ending. Like I need to rewatch it because so much happened and it was all so smartly put together, and just the psychology of like normally, I'm a cheap pop for anything where just 8 guys are all doing their finishers, right? Like, like how can you not like that? But this was so smart, and it was really interesting stuff, and like even like sort of throwback stuff too, right? Like Orton accidentally smacking into Stephanie and knocking her out, right? Like that, and him like leaning over her. That brings to mind years ago when he was feuding with Triple H and did the thing where he like handcuffed Triple H to the
ropes.
And kissed her, and because like then he was like leaning over with malevolence, and like now he was leaning over with almost concern, right? Maybe not for her, but for himself.
And
great stuff.
And that's one of the reasons it really sells TLC, because now, going into it, people thought, they were all, on the side of, Randy Orton. And now that dissension, it really kind of sells it. You had John Cena standing tall with the authority. And this is something I've been saying since SummerSlam, is I honestly thought John Cena would align with Triple H.
That's interesting.
And I don't think they will do it, but they teased it tonight enough to make it seem like believable enough to sell the pay-per-view. And that's why as a go-home show, it was perfect.
I saw people kind of bitching online about Cena's promo being more about putting Daniel Bryan over than putting himself over. Which I thought was an interesting thing, but it doesn't really bug me too much. I'll tell you why. It's because that's part of Cena's character and part of sort of the traditional like WWE face character, whether it's Sammartino or Backlund or Hogan or right on up to Cena, and like you take a detour in the Attitude Era because things get kind of meta and
crazy,
weird. But a big part of that is just the idea of fair play, right? Like you can be anybody, you can be any race, you can be any creed, you can have any kind of gimmick or weird nationality or weird gimmick about you, but as long as you're into fair play, And as long as you do what's right and you give people a fair shot and you don't cheat, you're a good guy.
And that's
right. And that's who Cena is. And so for him, it's not even like it's not so important to put himself over and talk about Randy Orton, although he did do that, right? To say he didn't do that is ridiculous. But he wants to face the best, and that's what makes him a hero, right? I liked it. I was totally
that
into
promo. Once it, I think it did the way he kind of like brought up everybody and said, Daniel Bryan beat me when he called out CM Punk as the best in the world, and he went down that line. That made me just love John Cena, and I honestly thought that was probably one of the best promos of his career because it wasn't about the whole his normal shtick. He made it about that whole fair play thing, like you said, like the best guy won. Daniel, I'm the one that totally. Everybody that had those great title matches were involved with me, and that's kind of what he put over.
I think and I think a big part of that, man, is because you can tell when Cena's sort of speaking off the cuff and and doing things by the fly, and things a lot of times get better when he does that.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of that tonight was because of the crowd, honestly. And like people all the time talk about good crowds and, this crowd was fantastic because they did wacky chants. And I was at the Raw after Mania. And I'll be honest, man, I didn't think that was a good crowd. I thought that was a crowd that was like an indie show crowd that was trying to get themselves over and have fun and do wacky stuff. But they were trying to steal focus from the show instead of.
That reminded me of SummerSlam Access when they were chanting Antonio Cesaro chants at him for I was like that just doesn't make sense. It takes away from the show.
Totally. And I think the Seattle crowd tonight is worlds away from that. That was a truly great crowd. That was a crowd that knew who they liked and they knew who they didn't like, and they cheered the good guys and they booed the bad guys, and they participated and they made the show that much better. I think it's an example of a great crowd, way better than people chanting for the commentary guys or Randy Savage or the dude holding the ice cream in the aisles dancing.
Now, I thought I saw you mentioned some other people had said this too. After the CM Punk suplex, was there a scarf guy? Like I didn't see that part. Somebody said something about a scarf guy.
Yeah, he was great. It was when they teased the superplex, right? Like Punk was up on the top rope and Ambrose went up there to try to do the superplex. And the superplex rarely happens on free TV, which is good because I don't know, that looks dangerous. Don't do that. And he teased the superplex and went to do I'm sorry, my phone's ringing. He teased the superplex and you saw in the background a dude with like a scarf and a mohawk freaking the F out, just like no, just like yelling, don't do it, no, like. And I don't know if that guy was just playing along or he was just so into it, but it was great. It made the moment for me, seeing that guy freak out like that. And it wasn't a kid either, it was like an adult. It was like an adult dude in a black scarf over a white shirt in a mohawk,
just like the Miz girl. Do you think that'll be on a thing next week?
No, it wasn't that big of. It wasn't that big of a thing. It was just sort of a funny thing to notice. I think I saw Lance Storm tweet about it too. That's always a gratifying thing when I notice or think something and then see that Lance Storm is thinking it too. Because that guy's Jimmy like the smartest wrestling guy.
Yeah, seeing Lance Storm and then even Jimmy Cordero say something too.
Oh, did he mention it as well?
I don't know if he mentioned it, but like a lot of the things I think when I see Lance or because I saw Lance's tweet about Cena's promo and how awesome it was.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff, dude. Let's talk about Orton's promo. That great.
Was so great too. I honestly that crowd at the same time, the whole Daniel Bryan thing kind of took away from it. But then because of Randy getting pissed about that, made his promo so much more epic. It really did.
It was great. And like sometimes when like the crowds, they were chanting boring at him and stuff, which was great because it didn't derail him. Instead, it made him angry, right? You could tell he was pissed.
And that's his persona. That's his character. Exactly. That's how he builds it.
It fueled him, and it was so vicious. It was so mean. Just talking about taking years off of Mick Foley's life. Jesus, it's really mean. Like he's a great bad guy. I love Orton. I think he's really tremendous.
Man, and then even like the teasing the whole, and I expected going into WrestleMania when he got pedigreed by Triple H, I was like, yeah, that's it. WrestleMania is gonna be Randy versus Triple H. I still think so.
I don't know. I don't like to do the fantasy booking thing because I'm bad at it. That's why I don't like to do it. I just because I get caught up in like what I think would be cool because all I can think about right now. All I can think about for WrestleMania is because Cena said it tonight. He said, if I win at TLC, I want you to get your rematch, Daniel Bryan. Right. So all I can think about is because it goes TLC, Royal Rumble,
Elimination Chamber,
then WrestleMania, right?
Yeah. So usually, if Cena is gonna drop, it'll usually happen either right after Elimination Chamber, right before.
Yeah. So now all I can think about is Cena, Daniel Bryan at Mania, and that's probably pipe dream. Like I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe not.
I got a little worried because I saw a fake tweet from somebody that showed a status from The Rock, and it said it was like a once a thing, twice a thing, and 3 times a charm or something like that.
And, I saw people talking about that earlier today.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, please! I don't want Cena versus The Rock 3, but
I don't think that'll happen. I think he's probably talking about like his 3rd Fast and the Furious movie,
something like that. I don't know where they're going,
probably
but
more likely.
Like you said, Danber, that's all I'm thinking about is now. I honestly can't wait. Like I don't know if it kind of takes away from the Wyatt thing too, because I actually think the Wyatts could be useful for Daniel Bryan. Like if he were to join them, like that's one of the other things I'm so psyched about because Bray is just so awesome. His promo tonight on Monday Night Raw.
I missed the very beginning of Monday Night Raw, so I missed that Fandango match with Bryan, and I missed the promo, which sucks to hear it was rad. I need to go back and watch it.
Yeah, he came on and like told him to join him, and
I don't know if Bryan or the Wyatts need each other.
No, I don't think they do.
I feel like those two pieces work okay separate from one another. I don't know if they need to join them. Yeah, so I hope they don't.
The only reason I thought they might potentially join is for for Daniel to have somebody behind him, like to potentially go up against the Authority. To kind of have some backing, like so to speak. I guess that's the only reason I thought about that.
And the Wyatts are so close to being faces. You know what I'm saying? Like it's only now that they've started beating up on Daniel Bryan that you could really even start to consider them heels. Because before they were just too cool. They were just too rad and crazy and weird. And the guys they were beating up on were nominally faces, but not faces we really cared about, right? Like they're beating up on The Miz, who's a good guy at the time, but yeah, and I don't know, that makes me sad because I like Kofi a lot. I thought Kofi was rad tonight.
Oh man, when he did that kick like 5 times in a row, I was sitting like, Kofi is not doing this. I was freaking out a little bit.
I saw somebody on, I'm trying to remember who it was because I want to give him credit. I saw somebody on Twitter said like Kofi wrestling like Davey Richards for no reason. And here's the thing though. That's rad. That's cool. He was pissed off. That's neat. Like, it doesn't bother me. I don't know. People just look for stuff to complain about. But, like,
I think people were complaining a little bit because it was against The Miz. I mean, like, the whole storyline that they've had with The Miz is, like, they were tag team partners and they broke out. And then they had a pre-show match and then they tried to work it out. And now they're feuding again.
And here's the thing. Kofi's character, being the brightly colored guy with the weird alien dreadlocks on his trunks, like, that guy doesn't work if he's mad all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not supposed to be an angry guy, which means that when he gets angry, it means more.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Right in the aspect. I don't know. Like, it works for me. It was good stuff. Can we talk about Match of the Year for a minute?
Yeah.
So, first of all, I think you and I are kind of on the same page with some of this stuff, but, like, I think it bears noting that, and we might very well be I'm going to go ahead and speak for you. We might very well be biased because we were there, but there were 2 matches that should have been in the voting at the very least.
Yep.
Brock Punk.
Yep.
And Cena Bryan. Both of those matches should have been in the discussion. I don't know if they're the best ones, but they should have at least been in the discussion.
You know, you have to go. I don't know. You know, the dirt sheets were all over that. You know, saying like you can't have 2 guys or Triple H didn't want this or that. You know. I don't know, but that match, though, when we were sitting there, I remember I was sitting next to Paulson Yard, and that Lesnar Punk, we were going crazy. Like,
it was bonkers.
We couldn't believe what they were doing. And
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yeah.
So at the hotel bar after that show, I got introduced to Ric Flair, which was kind of a dream come true, right? And I got to chit chat with that guy, and which was so awesome. And he asked me, hey, were you at the show? And I was like, well, yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir. And he said, well, what do you think the best match was? Right. And I instantly got really nervous, right? Because this is Ric Flair, one of the greatest, if not the best professional wrestler of all time, asking me, and definitely one of the best workers of all time, asking me what I thought the best match was. And I was like, well, I probably enjoyed Cena Bryan a little bit more just because the storylines evolved, but like speaking in terms of matches, I gotta go with Punk Brock, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, yep, absolutely, and agreed with me, and it just made my month. having Ric Flair agree with me about it. But it was a great match, man. It was really super good.
I heard crazy thing about Ric Flair because apparently he stayed at that bar all night because he was still there in the morning when I woke up. Like I saw him in the morning.
Oh, I'm sure he went to bed, man.
No,
I think
he did. No,
probably...
he didn't. He. I woke up and when I came down in the morning, they said he was still at the bar because Alex was talking about it, and that he was still at the bar talking to people at like 8 a.m. He may have went to bed, but he was back up and.
Yeah, I think he probably just came back down because when I was there, like I didn't leave too late, but he wasn't drinking or anything.
No,
he was just kind of hanging out and chit chat with people. He probably was just up early, I imagine. I don't know though.
That whole thing is just another discussion too.
I can't imagine him being there all night, just because the bar would have shut down and they would have kicked him out because it was like a Sunday. Sunday. I don't think he was there all night.
Maybe am I thinking Saturday from the Access panel? I may have been thinking from Saturday because that was one of the best nights of my life.
I don't know. I don't know either because we kind of went off and did other stuff. I'm not exactly sure.
So now with that, Matt, like, would you put that? And you said speaking for me a little bit earlier, I dug Cena versus Rock, simply because it was the biggest because they're the two biggest superstars.
They're the biggest wrestlers in the world. They're the most popular wrestlers in the world with good reason. Also, how about that? Cena doesn't have a bad match.
He doesn't. People criticize him, but like all the best matches of the year had Cena's name in them. Cena Bryan, Cena Punk. Cena Rock.
Cena Punk from that Raw. That was great. I watched that the other night. I showed that to a friend of mine because he'd never seen it.
Yeah.
Is that the one you were talking about?
No, that's what a lot of people said should have been match of the year was Cena versus Punk. That pile driver.
Yeah. I went home and after I watched that, I walked right over to my gaming console and like went in and edited both of those guys' move sets in a real like heavy
I gave
way.
Cena a pile driver,
and then forgot that I gave Cena a Hurricane Rana as a signature and gave Punk a sit out pile driver as a signature as well. And so like whenever like the computer did it to me, like I popped huge like for months afterwards because I completely forgotten that I did it.
Yeah, it was just crazy. So now all of that though, like we said with Cena Rock, because a lot of the Slammy Awards tonight, a lot of people were upset about him. And I said this all night long. I said, the more fan interactive they get, you're going to notice it's going to be a lot more of the casual fan. The person tuning in that, they may not remember back in, June. They, that's why I didn't think Heyman and Punk should have got the most extreme. Because that kendo stick, one, he had a chest protector on. You don't know that, but
also I feel like there were like a half dozen instances where Punk wailed on Heyman with a kendo stick.
Before that, yeah.
Like he did a lot.
Yeah, he did it at the previous pay-per-view, and then he was saved by Ryback, and that it's just crazy. But a lot of the Slammy Awards, are there any like you really disagreed with from all that?
No, touching on what you're saying, right? Like, it's about self-selecting samples, yeah.
Yeah.
So like people would. When you look at folks talking on the internet, that's a self-selecting sample. That's not a representative sample of WWE fandom, right?
No, because it's people speaking their mind. It's just like
exactly
the people who leave a bad review.
So into it that they, like you and I, sit on their phones or their computers and tweet and chit chat about it, right?
Yeah.
Even when you go to an arena, the people in an arena aren't even a representative sample, right? Because, like, first of all, Raw doesn't go everywhere, right? There are large swaths of the country and world that Raw just doesn't go to. And even once it does, people don't necessarily have the money to go see these shows, right? So that's not even a representative sample. Truly, like, as much as you or I or folks on the internet might love, like, might pay god awful amounts of money to watch a Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler Iron Man match, right? We're in the minority, right? That's not something that the casual fan or even I think saying casual does them a disservice because it's not even casual; it's just the average fan, right? I don't think that's something they're even interested in. Cena and Rock are great workers, man. I wouldn't put that as my favorite match of the year, but I definitely think it should be in the discussion, and I don't think it's a ridiculous choice.
No, absolutely not. Just because of the significance of it. I remember that match itself. I actually preferred the WrestleMania 28 just because of that. The guy that was ringside that sat right below the barricade the whole time, didn't move, and had that orange hat on. I tweeted about that.
Yeah.
That dude stood there, sat there the whole time, and just made that
No
awesome.
selling it. This isn't for me.
Yeah. Now with that match, the only thing I had wrong with that match was the amount of finishers. I cringed a little bit just because like the variation wasn't there.
It didn't bug me because I thought they did a really good job leading into that match. Like,
yeah,
the first match was more just about those guys jaw jacking at each other, right? So when it came time to the actual match, it was a good match. It was a great match, honestly. I thought it was that was match of the night. I like that better than Punk Jericho because the following pay-per-view, those guys had a better match.
Yep,
way better. So that was my favorite match of the night that night. That and
because you were on your feet for all the finishers, remember? Because like I remember every finisher. I watched it in the basement with a friend on a 60-inch TV with like 5 of us, and every time they hit a finisher and they kicked out of that, we stood up and like, oh my gosh!
Are you talking about 28 or 29?
28.
Yeah, 28 was bonkers, man. I watched it at a bar in New York because when I lived in New York, that's where I watched all the pay-per-views.
Yeah,
and it was great, but it wasn't. The story of that match was told outside of the ring, and then they came into the ring to finish it. Whereas with 29, they did a really smart thing by setting up, and they set it up in 28, and whether they had it planned all along or not, who knows? But let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say they did, right? Like the whole idea of Cena's hubris got the better of him, right? Like Cena thought that he could do Rock's own move and beat him with that, and then it ended up costing him the match. And then when it came time to have the match again, that was such a crucial, integral part of that match's story. I loved it. I was nuts for it.
That's why I was.
I'm biased. I'm biased because that was my first WrestleMania I ever saw live. And I don't know. I was just nuts for everything that happened that night. But it was great, man. I don't think it's unfair for that to be in the discussion.
All right.
And I totally understand why it won because, like, as you've been saying, like who's voting for these things? Average folks. Yeah. And average folks love Cena and they love Rock. That's why they're so hugely popular. It's not a case. People talk about, they're shoving Cena down our throats. No, they're not. Maybe they're shoving him down your throat, but we as a collective audience, we love Cena. That's why we buy all of his merchandise and why ratings pop when he's on screen.
That's the absolute truth. And when he came back, and a lot of people complained when he got the World Heavyweight Championship match against Del Rio. I thought that was the absolute perfect thing to do. Like, you complain that Cena, they won, they don't feature the World Heavyweight Championship, and 2, they always put Cena in the title picture. Instead, they put him on the World Heavyweight Championship, bring up that title's value, and still make Cena look great. And Del Rio and Cena still put on great matches.
Oh, those guys had awesome matches.
Cena doesn't put on a great match. Doesn't put on a bad match.
I agree. I totally agree. I love Del Rio. I kind of like Del Rio better as a face, just because I don't know. Like, I love the idea of this like big, handsome Mexican guy just being this hero for America. Like, I don't know. Like, it just seemed very like progressive and forward thinking to me.
Going into WrestleMania, I thought it was perfect when they turned him.
He's great as a heel though too. Like, he's just great. He's just really good. I think that Del Rio's kind of been habitually underserviced by the storylines that he's involved in, though. You know what I'm saying? Because like he has these matches, like he had these great matches with Cena, but it wasn't really about anything other than I've got the title and you want it.
Yeah.
Same
thing with RVD too. I mean, RVD had a little bit of it, and he doesn't put on a bad match. I think one of the things that made Alberto Del Rio now start to get a little better is having another finisher besides just the cross armbar, because I think having just a submission finish. I don't want to say weakens you or anything, but like when Daniel got that bazooka knee at SummerSlam, it sets him up. It gives him something that we can now look for besides just that finisher.
Absolutely, and I think that's like the way that WWE matches are paced. It's super important for a top level guy to have a move that can come out of anywhere, and now he has that. So yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I love a good submission based storytelling match, but call a spade. Sometimes I get tired of seeing that match. And as much as I love Del Rio, there have been times when I got kind of tired of just seeing him work the arm over and over and over again until he locks in that crucifix arm breaker.
Absolutely. Now with Del Rio kind of, I don't know if in the ring tonight, I kind of felt like he and Jack Swagger were kind of out of place for me, but
at the final segment,
I just seeing all those guys in there. And I kind of chuckled a little bit, and I shouldn't, because Jack Swagger really is a great guy. I kind of tried just seeing Jack Swagger, and I was like, wait, what? Oh no, he was world heavyweight champion. Never mind.
Yeah.
Like,
I was thinking about this tonight. Like, I really, really want to love Jack Swagger, and I don't know what's holding him back. Honestly, like I don't like that guy's humongous, and he clearly gets it, right?
yeah,
Like I don't know, like he's got a great look and everything. Like I think that he's really benefited by being with Cesaro and Coulter, right? Because Coulter's so great on the mic, and Cesaro's, obviously, the business. But like I can't really even put my, and this isn't a case of me just not want to say anything negative. It's I just don't even know what it is about Swagger that prevents him from sort of hitting that next level.
I know that exact same feeling. Like you see him in the matches, you enjoy his matches. I just
Years ago there was a match that he had. The best thing I've ever seen that guy do. It must have been.
Was it ECW? Was it ECW days?
Yeah, I think it was like 2007 or it's probably like 2007. If not that, like 2006, 2008. There was like on the Raw draft episode. I think it was definitely ECW days because he had the title,
Yeah.
and Cena had the WWE title, and they had a champion versus champion match on the WWE draft, and it was amazing. And again, Cena doesn't have bad matches, but it was really amazing. It was really, really good, and it was interesting too because he's got like a good foot on Cena. He's humongous. He's a huge dude. Not a good foot. That's ridiculous. But he's got like a head, like he's a head taller than Cena.
Yeah. I for me, I think when Jack Swagger started to go down for me was when they took the focus away from the power bomb and put it on more of the ankle lock. I don't know why, because I love that power bomb. When he did it, when he cashed in and did that gut wrench, I was like, yeah. And
it's a cool move, and it puts over how big and strong that guy is. I don't, I like the ankle lock, and I get why people get irritated because it's just it's a rib on Kurt Angle. But truthfully, Kurt Angle's not with the company, and it's a great move, and somebody should be using it. You know what I'm saying?
The only reason I never really was a big fan of it because it's one of those moves that I always think as a submission you can kind of get out of because you see so many guys that can instantly just kind of turn and throw him off. So that's kind of what turned me away from the ankle.
But you know what? That's important if you're a heel, right? And for instance, right? Like look at Jericho. When Jericho is a heel, the submission he does is basically just the Boston Crab, right? And the reason he does that is so that the face can be the face in peril and crawl towards the rope, and the crowd gets into it. However, when he's a face, he'll use the lion tamer, right? Because it's just sort of like the different ways that like a heel versus a face applies these things. So if we ever see Jack Swagger go face and he's using the ankle lock, I'd be willing to bet that he does the angle thing where he falls down and he grapevines.
He did that for a little. That's when he taught Michael Cole to do that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's when he was doing it. I think he was a heel though when he was doing that because that's when he was going up against Jerry Lawler.
Was he doing it himself or was he just teaching Cole?
I see that. I'm not exactly sure, but
you get what I'm saying, right?
Absolutely.
There's a reason, and Jericho as a heel would use the lion tamer one with like the knee on the neck sometimes, but it would be in situations where the heel wasn't getting out of it anyways when it was like on the entrance ramp, or like I remember one time he did it on one of those wacky cars they have it on the UK set, so the fact that people can crawl and flip around and get out of it, that's like kind of an important part of the drama of a heel latching on a submission move.
See, that's a lot of things like you'll a lot of fans miss, and I see a lot on IWC people will complain about something that happens on Raw tonight, and then the next week when that story develops they're like, oh. And it's like, you got to just have a little bit more patience. And I find myself doing this all the time. I jump on it right away now because I do so much fantasy stuff.
I struggle with it, right? Because, we all want specific things out of the show. And if it was up to me, Daniel Bryan would have been WWE champion a year and a half ago. And never lost it, right? But that's not a good show. You know what I'm saying?
It's really not.
That's why I shouldn't have the book, because that's not a good show anybody wants to watch.
For me, it was the same kind of with Punk's reign. It just kept going and going, and I loved that Punk reign. That was one of my favorite reigns. But the pay-per-views kind of got to that point where you're like, he's gonna win at TLC. He's gonna win at Royal Rumble.
That didn't, I thought that was handled well. Just because it was something so new and different. But I mean, my point really is that, we as consumers of fiction and stories, right? We don't And here's the difference, right? When we read a book or we watch a TV show, we recognize that these things are fully fictional, and like thinking and losing ourselves in it and thinking that Breaking Bad is real isn't part of why we watch Breaking Bad, right? So like we don't ever get upset at Vince Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad, because something happens to a character. I don't want to do any spoilers, but like something happens to a character that we don't like, you know, we don't ever get upset at him in the same way as we do with wrestling, because part of the enjoyment of wrestling is losing yourself in it and blurring those lines. And so a lot of times we want things as marks, right? Like we're getting worked and we want things. And, you know, I think a perfect example is all the Daniel Bryan stuff. Like you're supposed to feel like,
can you relate that to Family Guy?
Say again?
I don't want to give it away if anybody hasn't found this out yet, but Family Guy.
Yeah.
I almost think that Seth is doing the same thing. They're screwing with us.
Yeah, they're working you,
man. They're working you, absolutely.
It's so crazy when people are like, oh my God, I can't believe the way WWE's treating Daniel Bryan, and they're wasting him, and they're squandering him. Oh, this booking.
It's so over.
And it's like, bro, the storyline is that the man is trying to keep him down. So the fact that you think the man is trying to keep him down means that it's working. Like that's the whole idea.
And at WrestleMania, that payoff at WrestleMania, if it does happen, is going to be so much greater than it ever would have been at a Battleground pay-per-view.
I don't know if we talked about this right after SummerSlam, but like, or leading up to SummerSlam. In fact, I know we did. But like, we were chit-chatting about like whether we thought he was going to win it or not. And I, you know, as much as I wanted to see him win it, I kind of didn't want him to, because it felt unearned at that point. Right? He had just been handed the opportunity by Cena. So he said, "Hey, you're the guy. Come on and face me." And he hadn't really earned it yet. And so if, you know, he had just won it and kept it, it wouldn't really been worth anything. You know, like for the final like week or two, they tried to build it into like an HBK-esque like achieving the childhood dream thing, but it felt forced just because they didn't have enough time to build to it. Whereas now, after everything that he's been through, winning it and losing it, and, you know, having it taken away from him, and like getting cheated out of things, and then being shunted into this other storyline because the Wyatts attacked him. After all this, and here's the thing: people misuse the term "buried" all the time. That guy's not buried. That guy's the most over guy on the roster. They could move that guy over into a main event storyline anytime they want to. Anytime. And when they finally do, and when he finally wins it, and when he finally has a long reign, it's going to be so much more meaningful as a result of it. It's going to be so much more impactful and satisfying to people who've been waiting all this time.
Yeah, I remember our chats from SummerSlam. I remember right after the match, and then like when we were walking back, is we said the chase for the title is more meaningful than, you know, just getting that match. That's what, you know, that's what we all said. I think that's, as a collective group, as we were walking back, that's what we were talking about and saying, you know, him just getting it doesn't feel anything, but him getting screwed out of it and then him going for it is a completely another level.
Totally. And totally. I don't know. Like my pipe dream really is that guy wins Royal Rumble this year. That's my dream. I don't know. Are they even rumoring about that?
A lot of people were saying that, you know, it would either be him. The other thing, it's a little interesting to see how the Royal Rumble works this year, because, you know, if there only is one title, and I'm still not convinced there's going to be one champion after TLC. I'm honestly not convinced. I see them switching titles. That's honestly what I believe. I think is going to happen at TLC.
That weird hanging thing is built in such a way that could happen. Definitely.
Absolutely. See, that's exactly what, you know, some people have said, because they've put two titles on the line in the past. And the way they've had it, where you would pull down both. I mean, there's no way you could accidentally, you know, pull down one. With this thing, there absolutely is.
Yeah, man, totally.
And Triple H
could be on either side of the ladder and pull it down. Yeah, man.
Yeah, when Triple H pulled the thing, you know, for them to kind of signal to lift it up, that made me think, okay, well, as Randy's pulling down one title, the other guy pulls that thing, and, you know, it allows somebody to get a little bit more grasp of it.
Sure.
And I think it looks cool, though. It looks a little different to me.
I wonder if they go through that, I wonder what the belt's gonna look like. You think they'll just use the WWE one, or because they just made that, but that's new.
That's what we've been talking about for the last month. We don't know. Like, do you throw away the title? And some people are like, well, it's the one Rock debuted and Rock's gone. At the same time, what if Rock comes back to win the title he brought into the WWE?
That'd be funny. Oh man, people would go bonkers over that. People on the internet would not. Our feeds would not be pleasant if that happened.
See, that's one of the things when you think about it. It's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah.
Because everybody's talking about like Brock versus Rock and like stuff like that. It's just cool because right now we're in that state of after tonight, after that finish, WWE has so many different ways to go, and we haven't had that all year long. We've had very predictable things, and tonight they busted it wide open.
This happens every year, man. I mean, with me at least,
absolutely.
like,
Royal
I get to the
time.
point where I'm just like, all right, I get it. It's moving forward. It's a thing I love, but it's, you know, it's nothing. It's just kind of doing what I expect from it. And then, you know, around this time every single year, because they're getting ready to build to Mania, things start going cuckoo bananas. Things start getting crazy, and that's what we're seeing here. And I mean, I think that it speaks to, you know, the fact that WWE knows what they're doing, man. Like, you know, they've got like 8 months out of the year that they use to, I mean, not exclusively, I mean, because they do neat stuff, but they use to try things out. Right? They used to test the waters and say, you know what, is Daniel Bryan a top guy? You know, can that guy hold his own in a main event? And can he hold the title? And the answer is yes, of course. Right? That guy's super over right now. And now that they have that knowledge, they can say, okay, knowing all these things, knowing that guy is phenomenal, knowing that the Shield is this really huge thing, and any one of those guys could work on their own.
Absolutely.
Knowing that the Wyatts are like this up and coming force that we haven't really found a spot for yet, but they're super great and can do all this different stuff. Knowing that we've got all these pieces in play, how do we build the biggest WrestleMania we possibly can? And that's what we're going to see over the next few months, man. They, you know, this is, you know, there is no off season for WWE, but we're coming into the on season, the super on season. You know what I'm saying?
Because everything, you know, kind of carries meaning. Everything, you know, you can't really forget something because in Elimination Chamber time, somebody could be like, back in December, you did this. And that's the awesome thing about it is, you know, we're finally going to start to get into the must-watch kind of TV because anything can happen.
Yeah, man.
And
it's good stuff. I'm super excited. This is a great episode of Raw. A really good go home, man. I'm really stoked for TLC in a way that I haven't been stoked for pay-per-views in a couple months now.
I don't even know like any of the other matches. Like, I know there's 2 3-on-1s. I didn't even know Natalya was getting a championship match until tonight. I honestly think that's my fault.
There's Big E and Sandow, which, you know, it's not something that's going to set my world on fire, but I love Big E. I love both those guys, so that's going to be a
You brought up the word earlier, buried, and I have gone back and forth with people on Twitter on this. Is everybody keeps saying that Damian Sandow, after he cashed in against Cena, was buried. And I said, whoever won that briefcase, if the WWE is planning on merging the titles, it wouldn't have mattered because it was never about that. I honestly think, you know, they would have mattered.
I won't lie. I was bummed to see how that went. I was bummed to see him cash it in and not win
but didn't you see a more aggressive Damian Sandow come from that?
Oh, totally. He came out of it smelling like roses, man. He seemed like a real problem in a way that he hadn't in the past.
And
so
no,
he totally got something out of it. Like, as a fan, like I get it. Like, I get why you're frustrated, right? Because, you know, and a big part of that is that, you know, for so long, the Money in the Bank briefcase was seen as, you know, the kingmaker, right? Like that, it was, you know, it was like the anointing, right? Like, winning that briefcase, you were the next guy, you were the next one. And, you know, ever since they started doing 2 of them, that's not really sustainable. So they've kind of moved away from that a little bit, especially as regards the World Heavyweight one, right? The WWE one is still pretty meaningful and impactful, but the World Heavyweight one, it's, you know, not as sure a thing. So I don't know.
I loved it. I love the fact that he cashed in.
I'll tell you this. My favorite matches for the past few weeks were those zany Dolph Ziggler, Damian Sandow matches. I thought those were a blast. I thought they were super fun.
Exactly, and that's what everybody kept throwing. There's this guy on Twitter that's been berating me, saying that they're buried because of the fact that they're doing gimmick matches. I'm like, these guys put on some of the best matches, regardless if it was a gimmick match. Who cares?
They were They gave those guys 2, maybe not for all of them.
Exactly, 2 commercials
for a goofy, weird gimmick match.
That's
it's
exactly what I
said. Because they trust that those guys can carry 2 segments.
And Damian's new finisher, it's more Damian's coming out of this smelling like roses. And, you know, one of the things people forgot about is, you know, when Money in the Bank comes around, they can say, you know, Cena was the only guy to cash in the WWE Championship briefcase and fail. Well, before the last time the World Heavyweight Championship, presumably if they unify him, the only guy, Damian goes down in history as the only guy not to cash in the World Heavyweight Championship. So it kind of adds a little bit of a, you know, Mr. Money in the Bank thing.
Totally, yeah. It doesn't, you know, here's the thing. I fall into the same thing as everybody else, right? Like I love Dolph Ziggler, and I would love it if that guy had a nice long title run, right? But like, there's only 2 world titles, and there's only going to be one soon, and you got to have faces and heels, and you got to have peaks and valleys. Like you can't get exactly what you want all the time, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing too about both of those guys, I think, is, and let me qualify this after I say it, but like they're both too good of workers in their own way. They're very different types of workers, right? Like, and they get their heat or their pops. In Ziggler's case as a face, they get them in different ways, but they're almost too good at it to need the title, right? Like the way some people work, like the way Cena's character works. And this isn't a knock on him at all. And people try and use it as one. It's not. It's just the way that his character is built up and his function within the company, within the storylines. He needs the title every once in a while.
Yep.
And that's the same thing with Hogan, right? He just needs the title every once in a while. And that's just how he worked. Ziggler doesn't work like that. Ziggler gets over by Ziggler's a lot more like Jericho, right? In that you can put the title on him and he's credible, but he doesn't really need it. He doesn't even need to win. That's how good Ziggler is. That guy doesn't even need to win to keep his heat or to keep his pop.
Yeah.
Right. And Santos's kind of the same way, like that guy shouldn't be winning all the time because he's a chicken shit heel.
Absolutely.
He's a coward.
Yeah.
He's a coward. He shouldn't win. He shouldn't be the guy who's winning matches all the time. He should be the guy who cheats and sneaks out of victory every once in a while.
Yep.
But both those guys work in a certain way. And they're different from one another, but they're the same in the respect that neither one of them really need that title. The title would get more out of them potentially than they would get out of having the title around their waist.
Absolutely. I agree. And like, we brought up Big E too. I love both of these guys. So going into this pay-per-view match, I'm like, I love either one of these guys. I mean, I love Big E's theme song a lot more because it's like my favorite theme song of all time. It's kind of hard to pick because I love both of them so much, and WWE is doing both right. They got Big E looking great. They got Damian looking good. WWE is doing a lot of stuff right, and people don't give them enough credit.
I agree.
They know what they're doing, and I hate it. As much as I knock on them too, they've got me interested. A lot of stuff going into this after Raw. I'm super excited for going into TLC. What is it? The championship match for you that you're most excited for? Obviously, I mean, for me, it is.
No, I'm excited to see where that goes. As far as watching matches, I'm more interested in the 2 3-on-1s, just because I think they're going to be bonkers. They're going to be cuckoo bananas. I think that push comes to shove. I think that CM Punk Shield might be the better match. Like quality of the match wise. Just because
Is it because of the wrestlers in there? Because
Well, because of the Shield, honestly. I think those guys are really tremendous. And I still I used to watch Luke Harper when he was Big Rig Brody Lee on the Indies. But outside of that, I'm not as familiar with Eric Rowan and Bray Wyatt's work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so so I don't think that it'll necessarily be as good, but because of that, I'm kind of more interested to see that Daniel Bryan Wyatt family match, just because I don't know how it's going to go. And also, Daniel Bryan works so very well with humongous dudes.
Yeah.
When
you brought this up earlier with the kind of Damian kind of being that heel shoot, I remember when Daniel Bryan had the title back in 2011, going into WrestleMania when he lost to Sheamus, and he was doing those dirty things to win and kind of holding that title as a heel kind of guy should.
That Big Show feud.
Yeah.
It was the business. It was so rad. It was so great. I love that heel turn. Just him, kicking the bejesus out of Big Show. Dude, that's been Daniel Bryan's calling card going back to Ring of Honor, though. That guy had incredible matches with Morishima. Do you know Morishima?
No.
Okay, no. Morishima's dope. You need to look him up. He's the business. He's this humongous, I don't know, by WWE standards, he's probably not that big, but by Ring of Honor standards in 2000, I don't know, 6 or 7, or maybe earlier than that, whatever. No. Yeah, 6, 7, 8. By those
standards, wow. Yeah, oh wow.
Would you look him up?
Takeshi Morishi. Wow.
By Ring of Honor standards, he was a monster, but he's got the face of a gentle Japanese girl, which kind of just makes it.
That's the first thing I saw. I saw his face.
Weird,
I was
right?
like,
He and Daniel Bryan had brutal matches in Ring of Honor, and it was the giant killer story of like Daniel Bryan just struggling to get that guy off his feet and those really powerful kicks and everything. It was a match with him where Daniel Bryan got his retina dislodged or something, like some crazy injury to his eye.
That's the first thing I see on the YouTube. There's a Daniel Bryan promo on detaching his retina.
Yeah,
there it is.
Yep.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Oh. See, that makes me so excited. You have to look at it, wrestling. When you look at their other bodies of work besides just in WWE, I think you appreciate them a lot more. And that's why, with like Seth Rollins, like as Tyler, you appreciate those guys so much more than when you see them in WWE. It throws you kind of crazy and you get them all excited. And I'm excited to see where Dan Bryan goes. I think, like you said with this match, the Wyatts don't need to win. There's Daniel coming out on top doesn't hurt them at all. Mm-mm. And it builds him up for WrestleMania.
Totally.
And how does that work, though? If you got a 3-on-1, there's 2 3-on-1s. How does Punk and Daniel overcome that? That's what I'm still trying to.
The Punk thing is easier for them would be easier for them to write to work around just because they've already seeded so much animosity in
between
the Shield.
Yeah.
Like that's easier. I think that and that's why I'm not maybe as interested in that match because I don't know. They've done some heavy foreshadowing, and at least I think I know where it's going to go, and I'm going to love it. I'm going to think it's really neat when, when Roman Reigns finally turns on everybody and just spears them into oblivion. I'm going to love it. I'm going to go nuts for it. But I have no idea how that Wyatt family match is going to go. I have absolutely zero idea, which is kind of why I'm so intrigued by it.
That's one of the things. That's why WWE is doing something right, because I never expected them in a million years to put 2 3-on-1 handicap matches on a card.
It's a crazy thing. It's a really weird way to book a show. I love
WWE
it,
just kind of at that point where,
and they're not gimmick matches either, are they? Aren't they just like sort of straight
3-on-1 handicap matches? Yeah.
Yeah. That's a weird thing, but it's tag, right? Like, so they have to tag each other in. Like, it can't just be like 3 guys.
That I'm not sure about. I'm not sure about. And that's the other weird kind of thing about it is we have TLC and there's 4 matches. None of them have a stipulation. Do they? I mean, I don't think Damian and Big E do, which is a little odd because it
is unusual for TLC, isn't it?
Because we normally get
always had like
TLC,
a tables match, a ladders match, and a chairs match.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm looking at it now. There was 5 different matches with a stipulation. You had a ladders, a chairs, tables, ladders, chairs, and then a tables match.
I always remembered I was at WWE.com when they started doing TLC, and they're like, we're gonna have a chairs match, and they didn't. It was Batista and Undertaker, I think. I might be wrong on that. Somebody on the internet will tell me if I am. But they didn't immediately announce what that meant. Yeah. Right? I don't know. What could that possibly mean? It just made me laugh so hard because I just imagined those 2 guys just the rule, that they couldn't leave the chairs. They could have a match, but they had to stay in the chairs. These guys just sitting in chairs, slugging each other.
I thought of the spit take thing the first time I heard about that. The first time I heard about a chairs match, I thought it was have you ever watched Wild 'N Out? They had that spit take thing where 2 guys would sit in a chair facing each other.
Are you talking to me about a Nick Cannon show?
Yeah, I totally am. Right,
I don't know how I feel about the turn this is taking.
Oh, geez, but on the show they have the 2 guys where they sit face each other, and the one tries to make him laugh, and he spits out the water. The spit take. That's kind of what I thought was a chairs match. They just sit in a chair, kind of looking at each other.
Yeah, that is interesting. I didn't think about that until just now.
Yeah, there's only one.
We've only got the one gimmick match, right?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. One of my still favorite TLC matches was Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi and Swagger in 2010 when they had the titles, and Kofi and Jack were on top of the ladder, and they knocked the title off. And Dolph's character was perfect because he was the guy he did whatever he could to retain that title, and he comes scurrying into the ring, grabs the title, and retains.
Yeah.
So is that going to happen with Triple H on Sunday?
Or
Daniel Bryan comes.
I'm no good at the
fantasy.
I doubt it's Daniel Bryan, but yeah, no, I'm no good at the predicting thing. I don't know. Everybody seems to be really convinced that there's going to be some kind of weird swerve where we don't get a unified champion, but
because look at the whole summer. The whole summer put us in that fact where in that mindset, we got screwed so many times, but at the same time, I was perfectly fine with all the screwing because I knew it would lead to Daniel Bryan getting that moment, and I hope it's at WrestleMania. So I was patient with that. But
I don't know.
pay-per-view after pay-per-view.
If I had to guess, I think we will get it. I think we will get a unified champion. I think we will get a I think we will get a clean win. Maybe not a clean win, but like 'cause it's a gimmick match. But I think we will have a decisive win, and one of those guys will win it. I think that it'll be Cena though. After what we saw, teased on Raw tonight, I don't think that Triple H is going to let Orton walk out of there with those two titles.
Yeah, I that's going into it. I said the same thing. I said it would lead to a match at WrestleMania, and I don't know if it'll make it that far, but I definitely do kind of see that happening. And does that mean Cena joins the bad guy, or is it just Cena? It's more about Randy versus Triple H, not Cena and the.
Man,
the
I hope it doesn't turn to Randy versus Triple H because I love those guys both as heels. I don't want to see either one of those guys become a face.
Let's just the rumors all summer from the dirt sheets were Randy going up against Triple H and like Randy being Vince's guy. And being McMahon versus
the dirt
McMahon.
Sheets say all sorts of things.
Yeah, they do. But they've been right about a lot of stuff. I mean, if you to be fair, well, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
Like even a broken clock is right twice a day, and if you guess enough, you're right sometimes, right?
Oh man! So going into this, is there anything after this Raw that you're most looking forward to see happening at TLC? Like, is there a spot you like can't wait to see? Like, me personally, I want to see him on top of. I'd love to see Randy get thrown off the thing, like just to have Stephanie come out and just hover over him like he did to her. When it
comes to actual spots, I'm not as interested in what happens with Orton Cena as much as I am, honestly, again, like the Punk Shield match. Like I think that's where you're going to see like the craziest sort of actual sort of spots and like technical wrestling stuff. I think that the Bryan Wyatt match is going to be really smartly worked and put together. But just the nature of how them Wyatt boys wrestle ain't exactly conducive to like these crazy spots and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know. I'm looking forward to some bonkers stuff. I'm looking forward to watching Seth Rollins take some kind of insane, like really painful looking bump because he always does that. And and then Roman Reigns spearing the living bejesus out of somebody. That's what I'm looking forward to.
It's gotta happen. I still remember when at last month when they hit when Daniel hit the knee and Punk hit it, like the timing of that.
Yeah, that was dope.
I'm just looking forward to this. I would love to see.
How about TLC last year when the Shield had that bonkers match? And Seth Rollins almost died in that. That guy's crazy. He's great. I love him.
It's going to be a great card. And, I think no matter what coming out of this, all these guys are going to look great. And the future's looking bright for the WWE right now. You have Seth Rollins. You have Dean Ambrose. You have Roman. You got Daniel over the moon.
Yep.
It's a very good time right now to be a fan.
Ziggler can step into the mix at any time.
Absolutely.
Orton. Mark Henry can get bumped back up at any time. For years, one of like the most persistent complaints about WWE was that they weren't building new stars and they just were using the same guys over and over again. And that couldn't be further from the truth now. And people bitch and moan because, Cena's still in the mix. Well, Cena's the most popular wrestler in the world. Deal with it, right? Yeah. Like he's going to be in the mix, right? Like there's just no way around that. But you've also got all these guys you just listed, man. Sheamus ain't even on the show right now. Sheamus is waiting in the wings for whenever that guy's better.
Yeah, he's so apparently good to go now. Is what they're saying. I think he had tweeted out something like he's ready. He's raring to go. He could be like a surprise entrance in the Roman, and that's just the thing. There's so many guys. I think a lot of people get mad though because they're not pushing those guys because they don't have a title, and you don't need a title necessarily to get built, and they're proving that. Not. So. It's a great time to be a WWE fan. I'm excited. This Raw was just bonkers. A lot of the slammies I didn't necessarily agree with, but that comes with, like we've talked about, average fans,
sure,
casual fans, like all that kind of stuff.
And I didn't think. I mean, which ones did you think were really outrageous? Because I don't remember seeing anything that I thought was really, terribly off the mark.
I don't know. To me,
I guess some of
the WWE.com ones I had a problem with. Like
okay. I don't
know Paul say something stupid from Brock Lesnar was the greatest line of the year, hands down. Like when Brock turned to Paul and said that, I rewinded that 10 times just to hear him say that.
It was amazing. I felt like I heard it wrong. It was so great.
Yeah. So I think
Well, what about the ones on the show? On the ones on the actual Raw show, were there ones that really stuck out to you as being off the mark? I know
the Bellas. I had a problem with.
You had the problem with the Bellas.
I thought, and going in, I actually predicted they would win. I said, they did a great job with Total Divas because I think Total Divas is great for the show.
Who would you have rather won, Natty?
AJ.
AJ.
And I know that as a heel, it makes sense for her not to win. I mean, perfectly.
I don't know, man.
But she's held the title for 6 months. She's been on.
You were just talking about how the titles weren't the most important thing, right?
Well, no, but she, that the Divas promo she dropped that also didn't win an award. I thought that was one of the best.
I'm not as nuts for AJ as everybody else is. I think AJ is a good worker. I don't think her mic work really, I think the character she has is a good character and it's interesting, and the things she says are interesting and compelling, but the way she delivers them never quite satisfies for me.
I just liked her more as her role. I mean, she did so much this year as a diva. That's more of why I love her. I mean, she was with Kane, with Dan. I mean, there's so much that happened in the course of the year with her. Yes. She was so predominantly featured. She wasn't the only one. Didn't she close out Monday Night Raw one? She was the only diva to close. Well, not the only diva, but I mean, she had so many accolades this year.
Who was their best tag team?
I think it was a WWE.com award.
Who was it?
WWE.com Slammies. Let me see if I can pull up the awards.
I'll tell you who I wish they'd done on the show, and I wish they'd done Team Hell No. And we had a reunion between those guys and a tense standoff.
Oh, that was
Team Hell No is kind of one of my favorite things in wrestling ever.
What a Maneuver award! I honestly thought it should have went to the Cesaro swing, not the spear. That's just me personally.
Okay.
Faction of the year, I thought the Shield deserved it. I mean, for them not to win it after everything they did. I mean, they went up against everybody this year.
Yeah, it would be silly.
You still got it, Goldust. I agreed with that one. Couple of the year, Daniel and Bree. Okay, I give behind that one. Oh, tag team of the year went to Cody and Goldust.
All right, I would have gone with either. Personally, I would have gone. I don't think that's a terrible choice, especially because it's topical. It's on everybody's mind, and honestly, Goldust is just.
Well, they put on the best tag team matches.
I would have gone with either Team Hell No or the Shield. Or Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. I don't think that. I know those guys got the faction award for the Shield, but those guys specifically as tag team, I think, deserved it.
I never wanted Roman and Rollins. I wanted Dean and Rollins, but that was just me. I don't know why. I always kind of felt that way. The other one was a Feat of the Strength of the year. Mark Henry pulls 2 trucks with his bare hands. I didn't think that should win, but when you think about it, I mean, he pulled 2 trucks with his bare hands.
Is that a SmackDown thing? It must have been.
Yeah, that was he. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they showed the video when he was out of the WWE. I think for a while.
I think Cesaro giant swinging Khali should have been the Feat of Strength, man.
I went with Ryback shell-shocking Mark Henry for the simple fact that it had a build to it. Because going into WrestleMania, after you saw Tenzai and Paul sandbag him, whether they actually sandbagged him or not, I honestly didn't know if he could do it. Yeah, and after that match when he did that, I popped. I think
Ryback's really great.
Oh man,
I'll just put that out there. I'm a big Ryback fan.
I like Ryback. I think with him and Paul Heyman, it was the greatest thing going, and then they had to wreck it. The Say What quote of the year, the I'm in my boy's corner and I'll be your Huckleberry all night long. I didn't agree with that one. I still love the Paul say something stupid. This didn't make any sense to me, and this is one of the things I thought was kind of weird. They had best dance moves. They allowed the Funkadactyls to be together, but they split up Fandango and Summer Rae.
That's interesting.
That to me made no sense.
I guess the Funkadactyls mostly do the same stuff.
Well, that's true. JBL and Cole Show winning the favorite web show. I agree with that 100%. It's the greatest thing going on WWE. And I like the fact that, and this is another thing people are starting to realize, they're building storylines from their web shows.
Yeah, they're
with
being
Bad News Barrett.
Bad News Barrett and all. He was on the show tonight, I just realized.
Was he? I didn't see him all night.
He wasn't.
Yeah, I didn't see him all night. I was a little bummed about that. Best crowd of the year went to WrestleMania 29 after, and then catchphrase of the years went to Yes. So a lot of the awards, I guess I really didn't disagree with too many of them.
Yeah.
I guess I was a little upset with Cena, even though afterwards I realized how much I liked it because of the significance of it.
Sure.
Insult of the year, the Stephanie degrading Big Show, I thought was kind of bad.
That was a weird choice, I thought. And it was because they didn't even show the best part when she talked about that guy dying young.
Yeah,
that was really grim. It was just really awful.
And that's one of the things that was kind of fresh on people's mind, and that's why I don't know if that's kind of why people voted for it. Or maybe people just didn't really care. Another thing I noticed is I tried voting on that, and they have this big graphic that shows everything clearly, and then when you vote, it was so small.
Oh, that's funny.
I
wasn't able to vote because I'm on the West Coast.
Wah,
wah. And so like the
does it not work? Does the app not work when you're on the
When I've tried before, like it's tied to like because I watch the East Coast feed, right? And like but like the app itself is tied to where your location is.
Really?
At least mine where I tried before. Maybe it's changed. It's been a while since I checked. But yeah, no.
If that was the case, maybe all the West Coast fans that are all voting for AJ Lee weren't there and they couldn't get their votes in.
Maybe it's possible.
Was there any Slammies that you thought that absolutely nailed it? Was there one Slammy that you thought, it was absolutely the right choice?
Oh, I love that. I mean, Superstar of the Year for Daniel Bryan, obviously.
Especially after Punk got snubbed last year and John Cena won it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like any year you give. Any year, John Cena is a credible choice for Superstar of the Year, right? That's I don't know. Like that didn't bug me really. And it wouldn't have bugged me if John Cena won it instead of Daniel Bryan. It would have. But
when he said HB Shizzle,
I wouldn't have been bullshit about it, like the same way if like Big Show had won or something. But no, I thought that was a really nice moment, and you could tell that it meant a lot to him, and the crowd was really into it, and it was a great, it was a great handoff between him and Shawn Michaels too. I love that. I love that that's like an ongoing thing now.
Yeah, and I like that. One of my favorite things about that was Shawn came out, and Shawn was blunt. I sold out a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like how do you think I'm still? That to me.
You can tell Shawn kind of has the bug, right? Like Shawn really wants to get involved. Like he doesn't want to come back, but then he wants to be involved, and he's kind of having fun, like towing the line, like right up to being a heel, and like. Yeah. I love that stuff because it's complicated, right? It's not black and white. That like.
Did you? Sorry to cut you off. I'm gonna forget about this before I forget about it. When Triple H said when he held both titles, and the camera panned to HBK, and he said, "Well, so did I."
Yeah.
Did you notice that? I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting stuff that they're doing with HBK, as kind of a tangential figure, just off to the side, and it's neat stuff. And like I liked when Daniel Bryan came out and said, like I wouldn't be here without Shawn Michaels, but if it wasn't for Shawn Michaels, I would be WWE champion right now. And like that kind of really summed up the complex relationship between those guys, right? Like,
yeah,
it's neat stuff. It's really cool, and I like the idea of Shawn Michaels being kind of this conflicted guy, because there's just so many, there's just so much drama circling around that guy now, right? Like, because the guy he trained is getting snubbed, and it's by his best friend, who was also the guy who tried to do what he couldn't 2 years in a row. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much stuff there to play with. I dig it.
Do you think we'd ever see Triple H versus Shawn Michaels WrestleMania?
I doubt it. I don't think that guy's coming back.
If he did, like a lot of people speculate, would you rather see him go up against his best friend or Daniel Bryan? Like
Daniel Bryan.
Absolutely.
I'd rather see. I will always opt for seeing something new that I haven't seen. And we've seen Triple H, Shawn Michaels before, and it's great, but we've seen it, and I don't think it would be appreciably different. I don't think that guy comes back. And as much as I would love to see him come back and have a match against Daniel Bryan, I kind of like better him being one of the few guys who's been able to walk away from wrestling, right? Like it's
Absolutely.
him. Like if he stays away, it's like him and Jack Briscoe, right? Like we're the only ones who are able to just say, you know what, enough, I've done it. It's okay, I'll walk away now. Like I like that. I think that's a nice thing for him.
Absolutely. My mind's just still running from this show. I kind of want to back, like you said, I want to go back and watch the ending and just.
It was a great show, man.
Be excited to be a WWE fan. So, any kind of closing thoughts you got on the show? Anything that kind of. I didn't pay attention to any of the matches really because I was so excited for all the stuff that was happening. That Luke Harper clothesline.
Vicious, always vicious. Punk Ambrose was good. It was kind of a slow start, I thought, but it was good once it got going. Kofi Miz was better than I thought it had any right to be. That big tag team match. I love the big tag team matches they're having all the time now.
This just in. WWE's website is reporting that Alberto Del Rio has suffered a concussion from his match with Sin Cara.
I saw somebody say that online. What was the move that I saw? Call it. What was the move that he did?
I'm not sure. Let's see if it says right here.
That was a
Oh,
good
it was
match
the
too,
injury
though.
as a result of a top rope sunset flip power bomb.
Oh, really? That move looked vicious.
Yeah,
That sucks. I hate hearing that. It's unfortunate too because those guys had really great chemistry. I was looking forward to like a really like serious
I
kind of like
I love Hunico
WWE
as
five
Sin Cara.
lucha style feud between those two guys.
Hunico as Sin Cara is absolutely killing it. I hate to say this.
Hunico's always been a better Sin Cara than Sin Cara.
Absolutely.
Like even back in like old like good and evil Sin Cara days, Hunico is a better Sin Cara.
I like him more because he is a little bit more slow paced with it. So it's a little bit more. I don't want to say developed, but I just love the slower of Hunico being that Sin Cara. To me, it's a lot more. I don't know.
He's just adapted to the North American style a little, or not North American, like American style better than Mystico Sin Cara has. Yeah,
I still want Hunico Camacho though, because if Sin Cara,
is he still?
They were a tag team.
Where is he?
No, Hunico and Camacho have been wrestling as a tag team in NXT.
Have they? I'm behind. Obviously.
Yeah, I don't know if they've been on TV, but I've seen a couple of reports from the tapings and stuff, or like live events where they've wrestled. I miss back when Michael Cole would explain to us that they pimped out their ride because in the barrio, that's how you.
So silly.
Sin Cara comes out on a bike with Camacho on the back.
And Camacho's not even like he's Haku's son. Like he's not even remotely Hispanic. I love it.
Yeah. Oh man, like I said, such a great time to be a WWE fan. And with Del
Yeah,
Rio
man.
getting hurt, I'm a little bummed now because I love Del Rio and I've kind of gotten a little sick of him being in the title picture, but I still love him as a wrestler because he puts on great matches.
It sucks because he's the perfect guy for Hunico Sin Cara to face. So if that gets derailed, that's
and they only have 5 matches on the card right now.
That's interesting.
So
we got SmackDown tomorrow. Some stuff might come up.
Absolutely. All right. You know what? After SmackDown, we may have to go into TLC and talk about it more. Once we know what's going to happen on the SmackDown. I noticed they didn't announce anything for SmackDown because lately they've been announcing stuff for SmackDown and then the stuff doesn't happen on SmackDown. So I didn't see any announcements tonight.
I don't know. We can check it out tomorrow morning. I'm sure they'll have something for us.
Awesome. All right, Aubrey Sitterson.
All right, sir.
Yeah, you talked about. Do you have any? Do you have a YouTube channel or anything? Anything you want to shout out? Twitter?
No. Twitter. You can get me on Twitter at Aubrey Sitterson. Stay tuned. I'm wrapping up my my duties and obligations with 2K in the next week or so. So stay tuned to me at Aubrey Sitterson on Twitter. And I'll be telling you guys about all the new stuff I got popping off.